Cyrus the Great and Nebuchadnezzar, the two new legendary archer commanders that hit Rise of Kingdoms. I'm gonna go in this video and talk about their pairings. I'm gonna go in this video and talk about their talent trees and predictions. Will they counter Zenobia? If there is more that you want to know about Cyrus and Nebuchadnezzar, I'm gonna try to talk as much as there is in this video, so you want to check the rest of this video. Hello everyone and welcome back to another Rise of Kingdom video. My name is Legend Ronnie and today I'm going to talk about Nebuchadnezzar and Cyrus the Great, pairings, talent trees, and prediction. Will they actually going to counter Zenobia? First thing first about legendary commanders, I'm pretty sure a lot of you know about this. You want to know the stars and you want to know the sculptures that it costs to max legendaries. So if you do plan for these two commanders to max them out, it's gonna cost 1,400 sculptures, 10 to summon them, and then 690, which is almost 1,400. That's quite expensive, isn't it? One of them comes from Mightiest Governor, so when we click over here, it tells us that Nebuchadnezzar can be obtained from the Mightiest Governor event. And when we go on Cyrus the Great and we click over here, it says from the Wheel of Fortune. You have no idea how happy I am that Cyrus drops from the Wheel of Fortune. And this can give you some ideas. Once I'm going to go further into the video, you're going to understand why. In terms of skills on both the commanders, I would say that Cyrus needs to be maxed. As a 5-5, he can definitely work. He will be better than Epics, that is for sure. But I would really prefer to max him. This is so unique. He gets 150 rage per second, and I'm pretty sure he's gonna stack with John and William. When you go on Nebuchadnezzar, on his expertise, he just gained an additional damage. I would say that 500 damage factor, you will feel a difference in a rally situation. But when you look at his primary skill, 1500 damage factor up to 5 targets, and then archer defense and march speed. So as a 5-5, 1-1, Nebuchadnezzar, if you can obtain him from the Mightiest Governor, I would say that he will be pretty decent, much better than Epics, because the third skill is a rally purpose skill and his fourth skill damage bonus and rage reduction. And let's face it, how is the chance that you will get a 5-5 1-5 in Nebuchadnezzar? Like next to zero, right? So if you really want another powerful archer commander with a small investment, here you have it, Nebuchadnezzar. Cyrus, I already mentioned, 5-5 1-1 can go, but you need to max him. Like on the third skill, you have additional damage and skill damage reduction on the target with a chance. Now imagine when you rally with Cyrus, if this goes on when the garrison is doing a skill damage, that's going to be a big debuff on the target. After that, you have his fourth skill, which is also additional damage. So you really want to mark Cyrus if you plan to use him. You don't want to leave him at 5-5-1-1. You keep him at 1 star, you max out his primary skill. You upgrade him to 2 stars, and then you max out his secondary skill. That's how you get a 5-5-1-1 commander. Because if you unlock his other star, it's completely random how the skills will drop. Equipment also only apply from the primary commander, so you want to make sure that your commander has the right equipment. As you see, my YSG is super dope equipped. He's a beast. Don't forget, invest on YSG, you will not regret it. And talents also only apply from the primary commander, so make sure you have the right commander as primary. And I was mentioning about 5-5-1-1 commanders. This is Leonidas, as you see, 5-5-1-1. And I use him in Sunset Canyon for that purpose. I got him. I have 24 max legendaries, so I don't really use him on the battlefield. I could if I want to go like just infantry and be super defensive. For the Sunset Canyon, he just works as a 5-5-1-1, and to be honest, I'm pretty happy with the results. But if he will be maxed out, then yeah, the results will be much better, but he's alright. I'm Tom Braggins in Sunset Canyon, and the other canyon, the Lost Canyon, 5-5-1-1 just works. Why spend another 500 sculptures? Going into pairings, for Cyrus and Nebuchadnezzar, I would say that once you get to this tier of commanders, I like to call them tier 4, and you're probably wondering why. Cyrus and Nebuchadnezzar, they're going to be the 4th generation of archer legendaries that are introduced into the game. So the first generation is El Cid YSG, the second generation was Edward and Tomiris, then we had Ramses and Artemisia, the 3rd generation, and this is the 4th. So I like to call them tier 4, but just to have an idea why I call them like tier 4 archer legendaries. It's not like, you know, they are higher tier or something like that. YSG is still useful, LC as well, which they are tier 1. I'm not sure if you have all noticed, but the recent archer commanders that have been introduced into the game, they're kind of breaking the meta. They're kind of destroying everything. Because we're all looking at Ramses and Artemisia. I tested them on the battlefield, you tested them on the battlefield, everyone tested them on the battlefield, everyone is doing videos about Ramses and Artemisia. They are doing great, they are doing amazing, because they really are great and they really are amazing. Since Ramses and Artemisia, can anybody tell me like who was hyped about archers? Like anybody, just put it down in the comment section below, please, and tell me if there was anyone in this game, probably a 2%, because that was my prediction long ago, that are really archer focused players. Since Ramses and Artemisia, everyone is going for either Artemisia or Ramses. The question is why? If you look at Ramses' skill, you can see he's very defensive. Breaking the meta a little bit, they are demolishing calves, they are demolishing infantry even more than they are demolishing calves. Artemisia is very well known for garrison, she's very good in garrison and AoE capabilities. So she's a very defensive archer commander. I mean, she has the defense talent tree. What more do you want? Archers with defense, firepower, and defensive. And then you look at Ramses, even that he has the attack talent tree, he has skill damage reduction, and then he has defense increase by 40%. It's not like 10, 20, 15 or 20%, what some other commanders is just 40%. So going back to Cyrus the Great and Nebuchadnezzar, both have the skill talent tree, and I already went through their skills. So I'm gonna go on Nebuchadnezzar, direct damage factor up to 5 targets in a forward facing fan-shaped area. You look at his second skill, 30% defense, that's great. That's really great. March speed, I really like march speed on archer commanders because they are very slow. After that, you go on his third skill, counterattack damage bonus, direct damage factor with a 10% chance from the incoming attacks, and then march speed reduction by 30%, and this has an internal cooldown by 5 seconds. Going by what it says over here, when this commander leads a rally attack, counterattack damage is increased by 30%. The 30% counterattack damage bonus should be permanent. But I can tell you this, and it makes sense why they put it permanent, is I'm using Edward, and I have never seen his 50% counterattack damage bonus doing so high damage, or maybe it's just me. Maybe I should have just looked better in the battle reports, but I just didn't see such a huge increase because Archer just don't do a huge lot of counterattack damage. He has 50% normal attack, Edward, and 50% counterattack after each skill. And if you count the second in command, they should be for 4 skills, right? Normal attack and counterattack damage dealt, 50% increase. That's a big number. But I still haven't seen big numbers on the screen or in the report to say that, you know, wow. The whole thing about Edward is his main skill, his very powerful main skill, 2500. That's a beast. So this kinda leaves me with not such high hopes that the 30% contract damage is gonna be a lot, but it's something. Because, like I mentioned, this should be permanent. And this is additional damage, like another 800 every now and then, which is great. And then we go to his fourth skill, 15% damage bonus, which is permanent. And since it doesn't mention what type of damage bonus is, it's considered all damage. I've asked support many times about commanders where they just write damage bonus, and every time the answer was is considered all damage. Plus a rage reduction by 100. This effect can trigger once every 5 seconds. Okay, that's fair enough. One thing I do have to say about this effect can trigger once every 5 seconds, they should add a bit more chances. I mean, we all know about feral nature, for example. It most likely goes off like what, once every 10 turns, or sometimes even more. If you're lucky, it probably goes 2 times, or but that's a very rare situation. So 10% chance to reduce 100 rage every now and then doesn't really give me a lot of hopes. And then same with this one, cooldown increase doesn't give me very high hopes. On his expertise has additional damage, another 500. So this is what gives me hopes about Nebuchadnezzar. You have 1500 nuke, you have the additional 500 nuke, and then you have this occasional 800 nuke. I mean, you add all this nuke together and oh my god, this is a big nuke. But on the other hand, I don't see much defensive option on Nebuchadnezzar. He has the skill talent tree. I mean, I'm using YSG primary, which is pretty much same situation. I'm using YSG and Artemisia. They're doing great. I'm gonna do a video about that. I have recording, battlefield testing and all that. I'll make sure to post that video probably before Kingsland. I just need to edit it. This guy also has 30% defense and the skill talent tree, but still doesn't give me enough hopes that he's going to be defensive enough. All the commanders that are roaming right now on the battlefield, they all do so much damage, like including the infantry ones. I don't see how well he will handle on the battlefield, but tests need to be done. In a rally situation, I definitely believe that he will have a huge damage packed together. And let's go to Cyrus. Cyrus on his primary skill, 800 damage factor, and causes the target to take 20% additional damage increase. Now, what does it tells me about this additional damage taken increase by 20% is all these small damages. For example, Nebuchadnezzar, he has this direct damage factor of 800. I would believe that this is considered additional damage because it is conditioned by a 10% chance and is conditioned by incoming attacks. It's probably just the wording. Tests need to be done. After that, we look on his expertise, and this one it says at the same time deals additional damage to the current target. And if you want to understand what the current target is meaning the target that he hits. This is what the additional damage taken increase. This is what I'm believing from this, rather than just taking additional damage from anything like normal attack, counter attack, skill damage, and so on. This is what I'm believing. This is just gonna be a debuff for these small damages. Because going further on to Cyrus, he has attack bonus, which I'm very happy about it, and 50% march speed, which I'm more happy about it, which is really great altogether. So far, Cyrus is doing amazing. Going on to his third skill, additional damage factor 250, up to 250 once you max him out. Gain a 10% chance to deal additional damage over time for 3 seconds. While the damage over time is in effect, the target deals 40% up to 40% skill damage reduction. And again, this effect can only trigger once every 5 seconds. But still, debuff for 3 seconds and 750 additional damage. This is what I'm trying to say about his primary skill. He's just buffing all this additional damage. Going on to his fourth skill, because if you didn't have enough about additional damage, then how about his fourth skill? When attacked on the map, troops led by this commander have a 10% chance to deal damage over time in a circular area of effect. That's more nice than you can think about it. Up to 3 targets for 2 seconds. Damage factor goes up to 300, and that's 300 plus 300. This effect can trigger at most of once every 5 seconds. So Cyrus is as nuking oriented as YSG is, to tell you the truth. No defense, like glass cannon, super glass cannon, same as YSG. Zero defense, but just damage, like just pure damage. A little bit of defense, you might say, on this one, but let's face it, if this one doesn't go in when the target or whatever you're hitting does skill damage, then it's kind of a waste. You might agree with that. Going on to his expertise, here where he gets a little bit of defense. After using an active skills, archer units led by this commander gain 20% increased attack, 20% increased defense for 3 seconds, and gain an extra 50 rage per second. Overall, I'm super hyped about Cyrus than I am about the Nebuchadnezzar. Even that his primary skill only does 1400 damage, but he has all these small damages. And I'm gonna get to the point where I'm gonna say why. We got Ramses. I mean, Ramses is pretty much useful everywhere, but what is Ramses missing? Ramses is missing one thing, a good rage engine. And if you put YSG first, we have all seen it that they are pretty much slow, YSG is being a target, and not performing very well. And everyone goes with Ramses, because Ramses people avoid, because they all know 1 versus 1, he's demolishing things and people avoid hitting Ramses. But he doesn't have the rage engine. Now if you put Cyrus the Great first, and you put Ramses the second, you get a little bit of march speed, you get extra 30% attack, like permanent, and you already have 40% from Ramses. You get the skill damage reduction from Ramses. You get the defense reduction from Ramses. You get the defense, the 40%. You get a little bit of healing. You get another chance for another 40% attack. I mean, what more do you want? And Ramses gets exactly what is missing. A good rage engine commander to lead and empower. The reason I'm saying that Cyrus and Ramses, because you can't go like Cyrus and YSG. I'm pretty sure Cyrus and YSG will be amazing in damage, Rage Engine and damage. I think they will be the most devastating commanders or the devastating pair into the game, but as a squishy and as a glass cannon as it can be. This is why I'm mentioning about Ramses, because Ramses just offers the protection that Cyrus doesn't have, and Cyrus offers the skill talent tree to empower their damage. I would say that Cyrus and Ramses is gonna be the meta breakers, especially the ones that will take down Zenobia or whichever garrison commander there is right now. You need some protection. Ramses already does that. So Ramses is already taking down Zenobia, is already taking down some of the powerful commander and garrison commanders in the game, with YSG as a second. Now imagine if you put something slightly better with more damage option and capabilities and a better rage engine. Oof, that's gonna be something. And not to go any further, the 20% additional damage increase is for 3 seconds, meaning that Ramses hits as second, right? Ramses is gonna be the second in command, and the time between the primary and secondary skill is 2 seconds. So Ramses will hit with the 20% additional damage. If you look on his primary skill for the next 2 seconds, the target takes additional damage per second. Means that even higher and more powerful nuke from Ramses being as a second in command to Cyrus. You all seeing the synergy over here, and like I was mentioning, permanent 40% attack, skill damage, another chance to get 40% attack and march speed if you need to bounce off, but in a rally situation you don't, in a field battle you might have to. The defense, the healing, I'm having high hopes for Cyrus and Ramses, and I'm cheering up for Cyrus rather than cheering up for Nebuchadnezzar. Even though I'm really happy that they are introducing more skill commanders, skill and archers, you have no idea, and mobility. This is what is being sold to me. I mean, I'm buying this. As long as commanders have mobility, skill talent tree, that's it. Sold out. I'm very hyped and I'm most likely gonna go for both, but the one that I want to max for is going to be Cyrus. Edward and Cyrus would be very interesting to try out. The only thing that stops me is the 1400 nuke, which doesn't seem to be so powerful. On the other hand, if you put Edward and Cyrus, you'll have all these additional and small damages popping in way before Edward is gonna do a skill, so I don't see anything wrong in that. And like we've seen over here, the Rage Engine, it might just be something very interesting coming out of Edward and Cyrus, if Edward is going to be first and Cyrus as a second, but it needs to be tested. And again, there is not much defense capabilities between Edward and Cyrus. Maybe rally capabilities, very possible, Edward and Cyrus. Tomiris is made pair with Edward. She needs commanders that don't do so often skills because of her 4 skill. If this doesn't stack up, I mean, you're not doing a whole lot. Ramses and Tomiris works because Ramses is very slow on doing skills. Same with Edward, also works because Edward is very slow. But any other Archer commanders, they all have the skill talent, they generate so much rage, it just doesn't work. Going further onto the Archer commander, we have El Cid. Definitely, if you want to do El Cid Cyrus, El Cid Nebuchadnezzar, you have Rejuvenate and you have All for One. So you want to put the small nuka first, so you can buff the bigger nuka. On the Edward situation, he has stated over here that if he is a secondary in command, the damage is half. So you can't really put him as a second in command, you just lose half the skill damage. YSG? Definitely. I mean, holy moly. Cyrus and YSG, Nebuchadnezzar and YSG. And the question you're probably wondering, hey, you keep talking about legendaries, but how about some epic pairs? I'll be very honest, when you get to tier 4 legendaries, you should have legendaries to pair with those commanders. At this point in the game, going with the tier 4 legendaries, you can't just make epic pairs. And if you really want an epic pair, probably the only one I would think of is Keira. And obviously, unorthodox pairing options can definitely be like Cyrus and Mehmed, Cyrus and Frederick and Julius Caesar, but how good will they be? I have no idea. Those tests need to be made, and most likely with some of the other commanders like Theodora, but I highly doubt it. Like I was mentioned, when you get to tier 4 type of legendary commander, you need to pair, specific commanders with specific commanders, like specific specialization with specific specialization. Just don't try to do mixes. It's doesn't really work so great in the end. Going on to Nebuchadnezzar, which he is supposed to be our rally type of commander, right? He's the conquering one. We are having high hopes. I hope you do. I like the idea that he has a lot of defense, he has march speed and skill damage. Same situation with Cyrus. With Ramses as a second, he can definitely work very well. AoE capabilities, you have rally capabilities, which will help a lot. Ramses will bring the defense that Nebuchadnezzar doesn't have. And then you have damage bonus 15%, which is very unique. I'm really curious how that will work. Probably Cyrus and Nebuchadnezzar were made to be used together. Maybe Cyrus first, Nebuchadnezzar second, or Nebuchadnezzar first and Cyrus second. A lot of tests I'm pretty sure people will do once they come out. But I still believe that for them to break the current meta, they need to go with Ramses. The current meta of commanders, of the garrison commanders like Zenobia, Theodora, YSS, they all do a lot of skill damage. So you want to mitigate some of that skill damage, and that's where Ramses and Cyrus comes in my perspective or my point of view. But you never know, Nebuchadnezzar might surprise us as well. YSG for sure. Edward and Nebuchadnezzar doesn't have a very good rage engine, even though it might be very interesting with all this additional damage and damage packed together, how Edward and Nebuchadnezzar will do. But I still think that Edward with Cyrus will have a better synergy altogether. Nebu and YSG, of course. I mean, Nebu his 5 targets, YSG his 5 targets, there's nothing wrong in it. 50% skill damage, 100% attack to the archers from YSG. Rage restoration, yeah, hell yeah. Now, one question you probably have that I never mentioned: Artemisia. Artemisia works well with a rage engine commander, and she would better work as a first. Or if you put her as a second, it needs to be a powerful nuke. Now, what does a powerful nuke mean? I'm talking something like YSG. 1700. The reason I'm saying that is because when you look at her 4 skill, when the rage meter reaches 80%, there is a 50% chance to silence her troops for 3 seconds and grants troops 50% increased damage. This is why I'm using YSG and Artemisia, and this is why I'm not using Artemisia and YSG. If you put YSG first, it's the 50% skill damage that he has, the flat one, and then when this one pops in, it's another 50%, and that's 100% skill damage just from this when YSG is going to do his first skill. They're going to be silenced for 3 seconds, but trust me, when YSG hits on 5 targets, they're going to feel it. Just looking at one thing regarding this, she might have a utility with Cyrus, even as a second in command, because Cyrus has this additional damage increase, and Artemisia has 400 over 3 seconds. And if you look at the third and fourth skill from Cyrus, this can be quite a lot of small damages going around here and there, but still I would say that Artemisia might just work better with YSG, or a lot of players prefer to put Artemisia as first, because if she silences herself, then the damage will be boosted on the 1800 that Artemisia has on her primary skill. You see over here is 1800, which is not conditioned, it's not reduced, so that's quite a powerful nuke, and if this is going to be boosted by 50%, that's quite great. That's why Artemisia and Ramses also work really great. Plenty of options and plenty of combinations, because 8 legendary commanders, I mean, you can just rotate them around as much as you like. Let's go into the talent trees, because I mentioned about the talent trees. So this is rocktalents.com, shout out to them. If you want to help them out, or if you want to throw them a donation, this is not a sponsored, but I'm using the site, so if I can help them out, it will be amazing, because they're also doing an amazing work with the talent trees. It's very easy to select the commanders and just fill up whichever spot you want and reset and so on. So right now I have Cyrus selected. You probably cannot tell because it's covered up on the screen. I'm trying to make this as big as possible so you can see the talents. I have the skill talent tree, I have the archer and the versatility. So as a first option that I would go with Cyrus, what I would try first, it would be this one. Alright, so it tells me that I'm out of talents, so I reached 74 talents. This is the same talent tree that I have currently on my LCD. I'm going with latent power on the right side and the feral nature. As any rages I can get, this is skill damaging commander. I want to empower that as much as possible. And the latent power, because latent power boosts additional damage. And Cyrus does quite a lot of additional damage. As another option, a very interesting talent tree if you're not happy about feral nature, which I know there is plenty of players that are not very happy about feral nature, so there you have it. If you're not happy with the feral nature, you can go this path. And now is Nebuchadnezzar. I would definitely go with latent power. Same situation as Cyrus. Even that he has conquering, you're probably wondering, hey, but you could go on conquering. I would prefer as much rage as possible and just pop as many skills as possible. I mean, this is what these commanders do, right? Even that it's overkill, it's overrage, I wouldn't care. If one time is gonna help me, that's gonna make a difference. This would be the other option. I would go with Nebu. If you're not happy about the feral nature, get the buckler shield, get a little bit of defensive option, reduce that counter attack, and then get more attack from the archer tree. Alright, also, that's pretty much about Nebuchadnezzar and Cyrus. There was a lot to talk about them. Both great commanders and high expectations from them in Rise of Kingdoms. Everyone is expecting them to break the new meta like Zenobia, right? And I might just think that they might just do that. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about them. Until next time, this is your boy Legendary signing off. Peace out, y'all, and take care. See you in the next one, and stay safe out there, my friends.